Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack, and we also have.
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
So today we are doing Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Any first thoughts before we play it?
Oh, no, save it for later.
Okay, ready, set, that up for a little while, and I'll pull it back. So, your thoughts?
Oh, man. Well, how much time do we got?
As much time as you need.
Good grief, man. This is literally, it's like a gut punch and a heart, like just go in and reach and take your heart out. I understand what he says when he says, hero is Superman. I'm not that man. That was a role that I played, and that is 100% true. And in the same breath, he was Superman. For a lot of us, he was the only Superman that ever mattered and that ever will matter. He was the reason why so many of us rejected on such an visceral level Man of Steel because we're like, well, what the heck is this? There's no heroism here. You're not a friend to anybody. You don't save anyone. And we got all of that from those Christopher Reeve films. Before I became a bona fide Superman reader, I just remember that was the film. That was how I was able to know how much I took a young boy to go see Spider-Man, the Garfield films. And I remember how I acted when I came out of the Superman movie, and I was running up and down the block, pretending I could fly, and he was doing the same thing, blip, blip, like he was swinging like Spider-Man. And so I understand how big that resonates, okay? How big that resonates with kids, with people who really enjoy it. The sense of wonder in the film, everything. Okay, it came from that. That is still the gold standard. That is still the gold standard that all superhero movies are judged by. And if that had failed, for all the nonsense that people want to talk about, if you couldn't have got Superman as a film off the ground, and they did it the first time, there was no, we got to tinker in this. If you couldn't have done it with Superman, we would have never had any of the stuff that we have right now. But Christopher Reeve, the importance of him cannot be understated. And when it happened, I was sad. And the thing that gave me so much hope is that he believed that he would walk again. I could tell when he said it. And because he believed, I believed he would walk again. And then when he passed away, I was just totally wrecked. So now for me to watch this, hey, this looks like I'm happy they're doing the documentary. I give all credit to his children for keeping his memory as Christopher Reeve alive, and we get to know him better as a person. But I can't watch this. I'm just going to be, I'll just be a blubbering mess at the end of the day. I'm barely getting through this watching the trailer. He is very important, okay, to me, to a lot of guys like me. He represents more than anybody could ever distill or crystallize in a documentary, in a film, in a book. He's a significant moment, okay, in my life that's never going to change. And to relive, it felt like and I wasn't in the room with them, but when he says that whole thing about his wife coming in, and how he felt, I know what is it? I'm active myself. I can. It's not too hard to imagine what that feels like, and then to have that type of love bring you back from the edge of the night because that's where he was heading. This it's just not something I can watch. I have too much love for him, for what he means to me as a lover of Superman, but also how the hope that he gave me in that type of thing, that even when something like that happens, you can be a bigger person, you can be a better person, okay, and you can inspire people even from that particular situation. So I encourage everybody to go see it, even if I'm being hypocritical by saying I can't do it. I just don't emotionally have it in me.
Yeah, even watching this, it's pretty tough to, see this because at the same time, I think before this, whether, he wasn't like big in film, he was like big as a person, not as just as ambassador of being Superman. Just as a person, his lifestyle was, you'd see him in the city, he was a big deal. Like they would look and say, "Oh, well, he ain't done it." Like, no, he was a big deal as far as person in
Oh,
the country right now.
oh yeah,
He was
he was a
a success story. It was definitely not, "Oh, I did Superman and then nothing else." It was like he
he
had a full life, a
he
full
did
life.
what every actor would love to do because he did Superman. He after he did Superman, he made enough money or so much money from Superman, and because he didn't go out there, I suppose living this extra extravagant life. He's okay. I did the Superman movies, so I've got money. So now I can act in any of the other roles that really interest me. And if these films don't go to be blockbusters, no problem, no problem. I've already been in the biggest blockbuster of my life, so I'm okay with it.
Well, the one of the things that I also find interesting because, the his looks, like in the world of Hollywood, you kind of say, did he have did he have any work done? And when you see his kids, good Lord, they're the spitting image of him. It's so crazy. Also, it's really, but it's
Yeah,
good.
he has some pretty strong. Yeah, he's got some pretty dominant genes.
Yeah, so it's that's cool to see, and it's also I've watched like the Leonard Nimoy son talking about their connection, and as heartfelt as you can keep these things. With none of me, obviously nothing happened to him, so besides him passing after a long great life, and at the same time, Christopher Reeves doing so much post the accident, so it's hopefully they can keep those tones without, you know, without keeping us doubled over, like falling out in our seats watching it. But definitely good to have the information out, and when people have it's obviously not something that you would, it's like not going to run to the theater because it is a documentary, so it'd be something that you probably see on one of your streaming channels or something like that, and you would just watch it and it'd be like, okay, I'm ready to do it and get to experience it. But at the same time, as a kid, it was like anything kind of superheroes was a thing, and this was, I think for '78, it's like Marvel, Batman, um, Superboy and the Legion. Obviously, it was like X Men. Then and sometimes Superman. Then you had the movie, and initial as a kid, obviously the initial thing you're buying as a small kid, definitely Superman. So it was kind of those genes you didn't know because I didn't know. My father was. I would talk to my father at one point, and I said to him I didn't like Sesame Street, and he said, "You guys love Sesame Street." Like not having that connection to your earliest memories, just remembering you like Batman, Spider-Man, and X-Men. But when you see the movie, it was just like you connect to all of that stuff of what you might have when you first experienced a comic book that you don't have the actual memories of. The closest memory I have of reading the comic book as a small kid is, in the so my father lived in a different apartment in the building we lived in. So my mother and father lived in the front apartment, lived in the back apartment, and then at some point we lived downstairs. So in my memory, it's an odd place because I can't, I don't have a full visual of it. But he's reading us a Marvel thing. But at that time, I always struggled with the memory because my father had hair, and it's like, is this when they broke up? And this is one of my mother's boyfriends, but that's my earliest thing of comic book. But it had to be him because it's in Brooklyn, so that's the earliest of someone reading me the Marvel books. So, but they said they got us those limited edition issues of Batman and Superman. So we had those big things in the house, that sort of stuff, and the secret origins of the heroes and villains. So that sort of stuff we had that in the house. So Superman movie was like right in line with that. Superman 2 was even more in line with that and action and fighting. So it was just like, good Lord, this is even better. And Superman 3 was when I was going to the movies myself and we had to sneak into the R-rated movies, or sometimes they would sell us tickets at King's Plaza, but so a lot of times, some half of those times, the camo you could get into anything. But Superman 3 was one that I could just go see, which I saw, I think, a couple times in the movie, because even though there was like some half and half feeling about it, it was still Superman. The character was still there, and that was thing. And then I don't did I see? I guess I had to say I don't know if I saw Superman 4 in the movies. I can't say, but I saw no. I think I did because there was a big reaction by the audience about when he moves. I think he moves the planet, and the audience had leaves a big
Pretty.
groan. So I think we saw that. Those were periods where we were going to see the movies. But yeah, that period, I think it probably was in Jersey. So just like being happy, still, figuring time to go to the movies. And probably one of those things where I just said I had to do. I don't know if Colin went with me, but I think all the other ones we were together for that. So yeah, it's something that was a big part of my childhood as him as Superman. And in my mind, it's funny because it feels like all the Supermen that have come by, it kind of stayed in my mind as the character. But Christopher Reeve definitely, the personality, the character that he really gave to Superman was like that made him a lot more, made him. And if the audience comic reader, sometimes he could be like like a super policeman type of deal, and this was the guy who was really fun. So it's like, and you could see that creep back into the comic books as that went along too. But at the same time, let's see. I guess whenever you get a chance, it's gonna be a tearjerker. Check it out and report
Tell
back
us,
to us. Hmm?
tell us all about it, because I will not be watching. Leave some comments.
Yes, please. All right. Spin rack
We're out.
out.